Welcome to Celestial Guidance with Jen. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon. That is a big deal from where we're traveling at the moon to full moon rituals. There is some kind of romantic and even fantastical feeling that comes with the full moon. We hear about how people say, oh, everybody gets crazy during the full moon, or I've heard, or babies are being born, and it's true. Well, we do know that the moon affects the tides. So considering that humans are composed of 70% of water, why wouldn't the moon affect us? The moon is actually a feminine celestial body. It greatly affects our emotions. It heightens our emotions. So yes, it does affect us. The full moon occurs when the Earth is located directly between the sun and the moon. The sun is responsible for completely illuminating the moon, giving us that beautiful glowing rounded skin in the sky. So I really wanted to talk about things to do during a full moon and a couple of things not to do during a full moon. This full moons are about ending to come at the end of the lunar cycle. What you choose to do during the full moon should feel a little bit conclusive, a little reflective, rather than jumping into the next new thing. Focus on what you have been doing, where you've been, how you spent the last month, what seeds have you sown, what benefits have you reaped, what do you need to let go of. The full moon is really about letting go of things and manifesting what you want. So some things to do during a full moon include cleansing either your physical space or your mental space. That can include cleansing people out of your life. If there are people in your life that are negative, again, the full moon is all about action. Somebody's draining you. This is a great time to release people that no longer serve you. If you're into crystals, you can charge your crystals during the full moon. That's another thing. It's a good time to learn how to meditate, really be more reflective. It's also a great time to move your body to release some of that emotional energy, that emotional baggage, so to speak. Something not to do during a full moon is start something brand new. Again, the full moon is about endings. So we're really, really not focused on beginning something new. But again, what have we done right? What do we want for the next lunar cycle? So there are various types of full moon. I don't know if people have heard of the harvest moon, the pink moon, the wolf moon. That can take a long time to explain. So I feel like that would be something for another episode. But hopefully some of this information was helpful to you. And I'm very interested to hear from people on how the full moon serves them, what they let go of, what they've manifested, and anything else that the full moon brings you.
I'll start. I love the full moon. I love the new moon as well, but for different reasons. But I would say both the full moon and the new moon as almost like checkpoints. So it's just kind of like, where am I at and what's going on? I like manifesting on both the full moon and the new moon because I look at that as like a 2-week commitment, right? So, in the new moon, I'm trying to bring things in, but then once the full moon comes, it's like, okay, what is working and what is not? And I think sometimes you have to pivot. You have to self-reflect. I mean, as a fire sign, sometimes I'm just like, I want to push through. It doesn't matter what the obstacle is, just like steamroll it. But that's not always the best use of your energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you do that, sometimes you don't. And also for how long? How long are you going to keep pushing against resistance, right? So if I've been working on something for 2 weeks and it's not going anywhere, why? Is it me? So I just look at it as it's a checkpoint. It's the time to reflect and figure out how are we going to pivot. And then I work on, I would say, releasing whatever it is that I've determined is the obstacle.
Well, I have found that the full moon is very useful when you're doing uncrossing. Like I do uncrossing candles or evil eye removal or something like that during the full moon because I find it's really good for getting rid of kind of a parasitic type of energy, even if it's an energy you're drawing to yourself, or perhaps it's something that you've just been exposed to for so long you may have just picked it up and you might be carrying it around with you. And for example, I did an uncrossing candle on the full moon, and right at the minute to the second that the candle burned down, one of my best friends messaged me and mentioned to me that he had given this necklace to someone else that had great meaning to him. It was something that I made, and he gave it to a girl that was a cancer patient. And she told him that it saved her life because she felt like he was somebody that she really admired. He's kind of a high level entertainer. And she was so excited that it literally lifted her spirits enough to actually help her. And I thought to myself, oh my God, something like that has never happened to me. And then I realized that candle had gone out. It went out at 12:02, which was so bizarre. I actually took a video of it because it was just, the timing was unbelievable. But after the uncrossing candle, that gave me a really big boost. And I felt like other things just started to fall off of me. Like I had some issues in my job, and that coworker found another job. I had some issues with some family stuff, and that got resolved. And it was wonderful. It was like I took off a weighted blanket. So I think it can be very useful. And it's something that I just started doing recently. Actually, I would do these things whenever I felt like them. But after I started talking to Jen and to Allison and to Joanne, I said, okay, you know what? Maybe my way is the best way. I'm going to try what these ladies are doing. And it worked. So I find it's very useful.
I like to cleanse my crystals outside during the full moon, put them out. And I also used to do a sort of like a releasing ceremony with some intention. So like putting them on paper and then tossing them into the fire table, or even putting them underwater if we stayed inside, if it wasn't a great night out. So just little ceremonies to honor the moon.
Hi, and welcome to Past Life Peculiarities with Jade St. Clair. And today I'm going to talk about something that people don't often address as a signal that you may have a past life connection, and that is the way that someone's voice makes you feel. A lot of things can signal past life connections, like there are the typical signs such as a feeling of recognition or something that feels like deja vu, or just that level of understanding between two people that you don't have with anyone else. But I don't hear the voice talked about very often. So we're all made of energy, and energy is dynamic, meaning it's always in motion and it's constantly evolving. And each of us has a different sort of energetic frequency. I'm sure you've all heard the term good vibes. Well, these vibes that you're experiencing are actually the resonance of similar energies, quite literally vibrate between you and someone else. And it's kind of like a synergistic response. So every person that has this unique frequency also has a unique pitch and cadence to their voice. And sometimes we'll find voices pleasant, and sometimes we find them extremely grating or irritating, but it is much stronger than that. If you've ever been around someone and you have thoughts like, wow, I could listen to this person talk all day long, or I love the sound of their voice, it's so soothing, it's possible that there's a past life connection there. And this is kind of the point where I fully expect that some people are listening and they're going, okay, this is nonsense. Anyone can have a soothing voice, and plenty of people make money off of how their voice sounds, like singers or people who give seminars or people who read books aloud. And you'd be right. But the reason for that are another discussion for another time. I'm talking about someone that appeals specifically to you. And when you mention this to a friend of yours, they're kind of like, I don't hear that. Okay. So you might find yourself literally craving the sound of this person's voice, and you'll look for an excuse to get a phone call, or you'll save voice messages so that you can listen to them over and over again. Even if it's just for a few seconds, it's kind of like an energetic drug, like they put a spell on you. And this can trigger things like nostalgia or even a deep sense of sentimentality that you can't quite explain. But here is the side that people don't talk about. Past lives are not always roses and rainbows. Some of your past life connections can be annoying or irritating, or even frightening. If you've ever met someone and can't stand their voice, that can actually be a past life connection too. And other people probably won't share your opinion. Yet again, they won't understand why you have a problem with this person. But there's something that's kind of repugnant and just cringeworthy in their voice that you can't even explain. So if either of these things have ever happened to you on the good side or the bad side, guess what? It's probably one of those past life things tapping you on the shoulder and letting you know that, hey, this energetic resonance that you're experiencing with this person, especially because it is vocal and waves are being exchanged, it's almost like they're bouncing off of your energy with their voice. Very possible that it's a past life connection. And like I said, something that people don't really talk about. So has anyone ever experienced something like this with someone's voice before?
I was really shocked that you kind of led with this because, my ex-husband, the very first, I was getting ready to go on a vacation. And he called me. He was going on this vacation as well to Cancun. And he left me a voicemail. That was my first experience with him. And I heard this man's voice. And I was like telling my friends, OMG, this man doesn't even know what's about to come. He had the deepest, I was just totally taken by it. And then after we were married, we were newlyweds and, we would argue. One of my things that I would do, because especially when he was angry, his voice would get even deeper. And I would say that to me again. And he would laugh. And that would kind of be like it could be horrible because it was like he could say something so terrible, but his voice, I would be like, say it to me again, and so he would laugh and then we would stop arguing. And now I find his voice triggering. So it's just funny, like how the tables turn, but yeah, absolutely. I didn't know you were going to come out with that one, Jay.
Hey, I'm full of surprises.
The same person that I was talking about with the energetic cords from the other episode, I literally told him his voice washed over me like the ocean, which is not not if, we were not a couple or anything like that. So yeah, there's something to it where it's just comforting and soothing. Past life connections.
Well, mine is a little bit different. So I was working in this company and I had she wasn't really a manager, but she was somebody that was above me. She wasn't my manager, but she was above me. And it was just, I am probably one of the most accepting, open people, but there was something about her voice that I just couldn't get past it. It was really, and I didn't really understand it because I'm like, why is her voice drives me crazy? And I really never wanted to get to know her or really just be around her because her voice just sent me into this. I didn't like the energy of her voice. And I've never been able to really justify that. And it always made me feel a little badly because it was like I felt like I was judging her in some way, but I couldn't help it. So it's so fascinating that he brought this up today. I really appreciate it and resonate with it now. Perhaps that was something from a past life because I could never understand it. So now it makes a little more sense.
Well, I'm super glad that I could bring out things in y'all that you never thought about before. My own personal experience is a little bit different too. I have a friend who is a singer, and there is something about his voice that I feel like it spears me through the heart. And now his speaking voice doesn't really get me as much. But when this man sings, I have to stop everything that I'm doing to listen to him. And he has this effect on some people. And some people are like, he's got a nice voice, whatever.
Yeah.
But the few of my friends that resonate with that, I feel like they almost know him through me. And he's not someone that's super famous. He's just a friend of mine that sings and has an amazing voice to me. And other musicians have listened to him and been, I don't know what you think is so great about this guy's voice. There's a million singers that sound just like him. And I'm like, no, there's not. But it's something that speaks to me. And I've noticed that if we have a fight as friends, if he plays me a clip of something that he's just written and I hear him saying about something, I immediately forget that I'm mad at him. And I think he has learned this and he uses it to his advantage. But also, like Joanne said, I have met people whose voice has just made me angry. Like, I'm not a person that's quick to anger. You really, if you've made me angry, you've been doing something for a long, long time to possibly make the volcano explode. But I had a boss who I just could not stand the way that she spoke. And I actually asked other people, does her voice get on your nerves? Does her voice get on your nerves? And they were like, well, we don't really like her, but her voice, there's nothing spectacular about it. And I actually did a reading on this energy with her. And it was one of those things like, oh, now you were rivals. It was almost like we had been friends in the past and then something happened. And ever since that event happened in the past life situation, we could not stand each other. And I know I talked about cord cutting in another episode, but I had to go home and make sure that I cut every cord I could think of with this person. I even quit the job because her voice was so irritating to me. Anytime she spoke, I needed to walk away because I just wanted to yell at her to be quiet. And that's such an extreme and strange reaction. So that's actually what kind of made me research this in the first place. And I started thinking, does voice have something to do with it? And lo and behold, apparently it does, because all of you who've never thought about this suddenly remembered these situations. So I'm super glad to hear that I am not crazy.
Intuitive hits. This is something really simple. And I feel like this is something that can help everybody. So one thing that I've done my whole life as a working intuitive is use oracle cards, right? So sometimes people feel like if they're not sure, am I getting the right answer? Do I know what I'm thinking? Am I right? Oracle cards are your best bet for kind of checking yourself. And you know what else they're great for is starting off your day. When I first started using oracle cards, 20 years ago, what I would do is I'd pick a card in the morning and say, first I'd say to Spirit, what do I need to know today? Then I'd pick one card and I would get a message for the day. And it was usually very accurate about what I wanted to know or what I needed to know for that day. Like this one right here says Pillar of Light. It's about raising your vibration, which this is the whole point of why we are here in this podcast, is to raise the vibration of our clients, to help all of you see a different way to live. So I think this is very accurate for this right now. And then I have a major question to answer for myself. I'm talking about you getting a deck, going to a metaphysical store. You can even go to Barnes and Noble and you can find oracle decks, angel decks, or purchase right off of Amazon. So it's just a way, if you have a question and you're like, am I making the right choice? Is this what I should do? Get yourself the trusty deck, put them near your heart while you're thinking of the answer, because I believe these are like energetic extensions of us, so our energy goes into the cards. Some people will say, oh, you're going to use a deck of cards to get an answer. But yes, I've been astounded over many years at how accurate the cards can be. All of you ladies use cards as well.
Oracle decks have this reputation of being BS, and I do not know why, because what Joanne said is exactly what I use oracle decks for. In fact, I prefer them to tarot for a lot of emotional readings. And I've never thought about doing what Joanne suggested, pulling one in the morning and looking at your different energies. I actually have one oracle deck that is specifically for dark energies, your shadow energies that you don't want to think about.
Oh, wow.
And and I found that deck for me has actually been more useful than any self-help thing could ever be, because when I'm irritated with something and I don't understand, I will pull hard and I will say, oh, it calls you out.
Welcome to Celestial Guidance with Jen. Today we are talking about Mercury retrograde. So there's still fired up about Mercury retrograde, and we tend to blame everything on Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into charts and things like that, but it really does depend on where it falls into your chart. But basically, Mercury, the planet, rules communication, travel, and technology. So these are the areas where things can go wonky, okay? So communication, I call these misfired texts. Who out there fire text? You send the text to the wrong person and you get completely either embarrassed or something awry. Or just miscommunication. I mean, we miscommunicate all year long, but Mercury in retrograde is the time is more common for miscommunication, specifically miscommunications, not just like arguments. And the other area is travel. So plane delays, just delays in general. There's a feeling during Mercury retrograde, things not moving forward. So as that would relate to travel, would be things like delays. Travel being put off is often something that will happen during Mercury retrograde. So we say, try not to plan your travel during Mercury retrograde. It can't. It's possible. Technology is the third area. And frequently I had my computer crash. I dropped my phone where the screen crashed. Things just going wrong with technology is very, very common during Mercury retrograde. So again, other things can go wrong, but it really does depend on where it falls in the chart. One thing to note also is Mercury retrograde happens about 2 to 3 times a year. It lasts for 3 weeks. The actual planet is not moving backward. It's optical illusion. People are like, well, how can the planet move back? Well, it doesn't. It just appears to be because the orbit of Mercury is 88 days versus Earth's 365. So just a little fun fact right there. A big line for Mercury retrograde. Oh, is my ex going to come back into my life? Well, maybe. It happens all the time. So, yes, it's possible. Is it guaranteed? No. But it is definitely an increased possibility. It might not be your ex, though. It could be a friend. That's what just happened to me this last Mercury retrograde. A friend that is a soul connection friend came back into my life after like 10 years. And that's a wonderful thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes the next coming back can be a bad thing. Sometimes it's not. It really just depends. So it's not necessarily negative, right? Other things from our past can resurface. Journals, pictures, clothing, things that spark reflection. Because as I'm going to get into, that's really another positive aspect of Mercury retrograde and what we can do with it. How do we use Mercury retrograde while reflecting on the past and even the present? Where do you want to go? What have you learned this last few months, this last year? Really reflecting on where you want to go. Now, taking action, let's wait until Mercury retrograde is over to start anything new. That's really a big thing if you can. If it's a brand new project, wait until Mercury is out of retrograde. Another thing is signing contracts. So people are like, well, I have to sign it during the time. I don't have a choice. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll see how it goes. But if you can wait till Mercury is out of retrograde, please do. And lastly, really, this is not something, it's not just about being held back. Some people feel like, oh, this Mercury retrograde is holding me back. It doesn't have to be like that. It really also depends on your mindset and how you think about it. So if you think about it, oh, I'm stuck, then you are stuck. But if you think of it, this is my time for reflection and changing things for the future, you're in a better place. That would be the best guidance. So who has some experiences with Mercury retrograde? I know you have.
No, nobody has experiences with Mercury retrograde. I can tell you, I used to and sometimes still do think that Mercury retrograde is a really good time that didn't work in the past. So now I'm going to try it a different way because I've been trying it over and over and over and over and it's not working. I also find that I haven't had the contractor or whatnot happen to me, but we did have to sign our closing on our house during Mercury retrograde. On the way to the signing, I got in the only car accident I have ever been in my life. And it was my fault. I was backing up out of a parking space. I did not see the gentleman who was also backing up, and I smacked into him. We had to wait for the police to come. They're waiting for us to sign on the house. I had only taken 2 hours off work to do this. I had to call my boss and say, I'm not going to be able to even come back because now this has to be pushed back. And it was just one of those things where it could not be avoided that I had to sign. I had to sign on that day. It was also Friday the 13th, which is usually a lucky day for me. So it was like I thought to myself, wow, is this some kind of double whammy? And this was actually when I learned what Mercury retrograde was. I did not know. And after that, I told my husband, let's never sign anything ever on Mercury retrograde. Now our house is wonderful and we haven't had any problems with it, except during Mercury retrogrades where things will break. Like this last one, the washing machine decided that it was just going to do something crazy. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy. And it was kind of walking across the floor and making all these noises whenever we would use it. And I was just kidding me. And it turned out to be something really, really simple. It was that it was unbalanced. Some of the little feet on the bottom had broken off, and all we had to do was replace them. So I find that also a lot of times with Mercury retrograde, what you think is this big blown up thing is actually sometimes just a small inconvenience, but that they start to add up. Like the feet on the washing machine broke. I got a nail in my tire. You know, I was walking my nail and then her harness came unsnapped and I couldn't get it snapped back and I had to carry her back a mile home. You know, just little irritating thing. But the contract thing, boy, that definitely, with the closing on the house, pretty similar. So
Yeah.
I highly advise not closing on your house during Mercury retrograde.
Totally. Yeah.
I agree with Piper. I try to tell people all the time, I don't feel like any of the planets, like it's not this big, bad, scary thing. There are minor inconveniences and annoyances, but if you can plan ahead, so like you only feel paralyzed or stuck, like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything that I need to do if you come at it completely unprepared. So if you are aware that this is coming, I always start to like do everything that I can do. And then I actually plan out what am I going to work on. The one thing I will say about travel that I have learned is that if you want to return to a place, go back to your grandma's house, your favorite vacation, something that you've done before, where you grew up, old friends. Mercury retrograde vacations are actually great, like travel if you're returning to something, going on something brand new, trying to get a discount vacation. I probably wouldn't. I actually know I would not take any chances like that. But if you start to incorporate astrology in your daily life, you never really feel like I'm stuck. I can't do anything. But I will say I've had multiple contract situations, but one of them was my divorce. I didn't like the date because it was like 3 days into Mercury retrograde and it was just the date that we were assigned. And I was like, oh gosh, you know, what's going to happen? How is this going to be drawn out? Like I really let everything kind of get the best of me. And I was pretty shaken for a couple of weeks, you know, everything's not going to go in my favor. Or I don't know what, just whatever. And then I got a call out of the blue a week before the date. And they said that the judge had a family emergency and was going to be out of state and they changed my date. So now it was outside of Mercury retrograde. So I'm so happy. And then I get to the courthouse and we didn't have attorneys. We did it, you know, we decided we're going to be amicable. We were going to do it ourselves. And I went and I asked the clerk because I was aware that there's some questions the judge asks you. And I got there early. So I just said, you know, what are the questions that the judge is going to ask? Because I wanted to prepare it. Well, one of the questions was, they were so simple. Like, you know, what are your names? What date did you guys get married? Is there any chance you can reconcile? Whatever, they're very simple. All of a sudden, it popped into my head that I didn't know what day we got married because we got married in the courthouse and we had our ceremony in May. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, there was snow on the ground. There was snow on the ground when we got married. And I'm just going through it all. So now I've got this stack of papers because I'm my own attorney and I'm going through them. And I realized that I was sitting there on our wedding day.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Is that something?
Wow.
9 years to the date. And that's the kind of thing where it's like, I knew that the date that we were originally given, it never felt right. I didn't want to do it that day. I just wasn't like happy about it, but I didn't have an attorney to call. So I was like, okay, I'm just trying to have trust and faith that, everything's going to work out in my favor. Don't be afraid. And then that kind of synchronicity happened, and it was 9 years. 9 is the number of completion. And I was sitting there on the day.
Wow. That's fun. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How about that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a local astrologer here in my area, and she's very well known. People love her. She's amazing. But I'll always remember that she purchased a car in Mercury retrograde, and she wrote she put it on Facebook and put a post up about it. And she said, like, don't be afraid to make these decisions during Mercury retrograde. And that always stuck out because I remember when I saw the post, I was like, oh, she bought a car. What was she doing? But it all worked out, I felt like this last Mercury retrograde brought me through my own process of like going through all the things I've done in my life for work, career stuff. It came up and kind of just went through it all to say what's right for me, what isn't, kind of like a review. That's how I look at it. Sometimes you can have a review during that time too. So,
Absolutely. And to piggyback on the car story, I actually leased a car during Mercury retrograde and had to take it back because it doing something with it was actually the technology, which is ironic. That's also Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
And then they fixed it and I got it back and it did the same thing. And I was like, get me out of this lease. And I got out of the lease. And and my last car that I actually bought, I waited until the day the Mercury was down retrograde to sign the papers.
Right.
It's gotta be Monday. Sorry.
Yeah.
With the car thing, I actually purchased my car during Mercury retrograde, and it's the best car I've ever had. So this is something
That's good.
when I think about that, this is something, but I'll tell you the situation that happened was I had a car that kept breaking, and it was the second version of that car that I had gotten. Like I had a 2007 and then a 2009 of this particular car. And it kept breaking over and over and over. And I felt like during retrograde, it was the perfect time to purchase something else that was not this car. And I felt like it was almost retrograde driving me, no pun intended, to purchase something else and do it now. So in that case, I felt like Mercury retrograde was the right time for me because in the past, I had gotten these cars that I thought were great. And believe me, I was looking at another one and retrograde was like, no. Here's the prime car for you. Buy this one. So that's what I did.
Yeah. I also love that so many mainstream people, everybody kind of has an idea of what Mercury retrograde is now. It's become a very, a thing that people talk about. And I love that. So
Yeah, it's definitely in the popular vernacular these days. But important to talk about. We can't blame everything on Mercury.
right.
And that we need to know what it is.
Yeah. Well, my favorite meme is the one that shared the day that Mercury goes direct, where everyone's sharing the meme that says, congratulations, like after today, everything goes back to being your own fault. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to readjust here.
Is this the last thing?
I think so because of the time. So this one is Jen's.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Allison, and this is What Would Spirit Do? Our first, I feel like I need to start again. I don't like doing the introduction. I just want to read it. Okay. Hi, and I forget I'm Allison right now. That's the other thing too.
Yeah. And you called me Piper. So be aware that you'll have to call me
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Shit.
It's okay. They can edit that out.
Yeah. I hit this thing twice too when I was talking about the tarot cards. So
My mic is actually fixing to fall. I'm glad you said that. Okay, now there.
okay. Hi, I'm Allison Ray, and this is What Would Spirit Do? Our next letter comes from Jonathan from Tennessee. Jonathan writes, one of my friends has a child the same age as mine. They're both 3, and we hang out a lot, mostly for the kids because they get along. For some context, this friend is also my ex-girlfriend, though it was a very short relationship and we established that we would be better off as friends. Since the end of the relationship, we have been intimate a few times, but no strings attached, and that isn't really the root of our issue. We will go through stages where we're quite close as friends, seeing each other almost weekly, and I do look after her friend. I do look after her kid frequently. She hates to be on her own and is constantly on the hunt for a relationship as she is very emotionally dependent on others. Since we broke up 2 years ago, she has been in 5 or 6 different relationships. I am not jealous at all. I would like to make that very clear. I've met the majority of the people she's been with and got on with them well. There's no residual feelings between us. Every time she gets a new partner, she introduces her kid to them right away. She barely knows these people and brings them into her home when her son is there. I do feel very protective over her as I've known him since he was very young. And as I said, I do look after him somewhat regularly. I've spoken to her about it before, about how damaging I feel it could be for him to have such inconsistent people in her life, or in their life, and also that these potential partners could be dangerous physically or emotionally to him since she hasn't gotten to know them properly. She didn't really respond, and I thought that that was because she heard me and she knew I was right. Well, now she's done it again. She met someone yesterday, brought him home today, and I found out from her son. I mentioned my feelings about this for her, and she said that I am a psycho ex. I won't move on. And if I don't stop telling her how to live her life, she'll block me and cut me out for good. The only reason why I'm even being given a second chance is because she doesn't want to hurt her son. What would Spirit advise here? Jen, what is your take on this?
Today, it's done. It's none of your business. Well, okay, that's a little bit harsh, but I feel like he's already spoken up. He's said what is on his mind. He sincerely cares about these people, and that's wonderful. However, this woman is on her own path with her own lessons, her own life lessons, her own journey. She is clearly going to do her own thing, and it's not his place to say what's right or wrong. Spirit would typically not say this is right or wrong. I feel like Spirit would say, remove yourself from the situation, man. Like it's done. You're feeling drained. You're feeling bad. Continue to feel bad. You're telling her things. You're telling her what to do. She's not listening. I get that he cares about the kid, and that makes it difficult. But there's nothing changing. You can't change other people. I'm sure Spirit says that too. So I feel like, he just needs to either remove himself from the situation or accept it.
I agree pretty strongly with that. I mean, I think my first question is the kid in any other kind of danger? Is she doing anything else wrong? Unfortunately, as a parent, it doesn't come with handbook. We don't always know, we don't always realize what we're doing. But as a human, every single person makes a mistake as parents, and we deal with that later, whether it's seeing, how our child was formed, or they throw it back at us, or whatever. But that's your cross to bear between parent and child, right? We're all doing the best that we can. So if she's not doing anything else well, where the kid is in danger, I mean, I would hope, for the child's sake, if you genuinely care about this kid and you care about consistency, be there and be a true friend. But friends don't judge. You speak your piece. You've said it now twice. She's an adult. She's doing the best that she can. And you have to respect that. I don't personally have one friend that parents the way that I do. I don't know that anybody has friends that parent the way that they would. You're not the child's father. You're not her boyfriend. Stay in your lane. I think Spirit would say to stay in your own lane. And hopefully you can, you know, be a friend, be consistent, be that one consistent kid, that one consistent man in that kid's life. You don't need, she's already giving you permission to be that. So be it. But when it comes to her personal affairs,
Stay out.
those are her consequences. Yeah, those are her consequences and her lessons to learn, and respect that. Yep.
Yeah.
I do think he comes from a good place, though. I really do.
Definitely. He cares. He's sincere. He's honest. He doesn't want her back. He just wants the best for her son, I feel. But again, if he's going to stay in the situation, he needs to drop his judgment and go into acceptance. So I think you're both on point with that. And I think Spirit would be in alignment as well.
I feel like Spirit would also say, ask yourself why you feel so strongly about this. This is a chance that he could also do some inner work for himself, to ask himself why, when he's already vocalized it, and this situation is really not something that involves him, why can't he drop it? And I feel like Spirit would ask him to look at himself internally and kind of figure out, why is this such a big deal for you?
Yeah. Especially because he said these things could happen, not that anything has happened. So if a boyfriend had come in and done something terrible, and then she continued to do these things, that would be one situation. But I did wonder if there was some level of projection here in regards to what could happen. Like, you know, my question for Jonathan would be, what happened to you as a child? You know, what was your relationship like with your mother, or who was inconsistent in your past, and work on that.
Yeah.
Rather than fixating on this boy.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
I think we're all right here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's hard. I do actually think that it's ideal. What he said is ideal, but unfortunately our lives don't work out in the ideal way, and we don't know this woman at all. And like I said, he didn't say anything bad has happened, or that she does anything else that is negligent. She sounds like a lonely person. So yeah, maybe be there for her more emotionally. You know, be a better friend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how do you guys feel now that this is like over? We did 2 rounds. I feel like the scheduling was the hardest part. I feel like this was kind of, I don't know how to say it. Like, it was a little nerve-wracking, but now I feel super pumped and I want to do it again.
Yeah. Fun.
I feel like this is the limit. This is the limit for my attention span. I'm going to be honest. I feel
like
that
me too.
Because of my severe ADHD, like, I can feel that my mind is starting to drift other places. So I really feel like an hour and a half or 2 hours is my personal limit, just, you know, to tell you guys.
Yeah. Because we got on at 2:30. So this would be 2 hours. And it was like 1 hour of doing it. And everyone did 2 segments. And I also think that an hour and a half to 2 hours is going to be, with the time zones and everything, probably the max that we could do in regards to like ever getting in time, right? So I think we all agreed on, was it the 8th or 9th? I put it in my calendar.
The 8th, yeah, the 8th.
That works out because it's going to take some time for this to get edited. And then I'm going to see what he does in regards to the editing, but I'm going to assume we're going to have 2 or 3 episodes here. And that means that we are going to want to do something every like 2 to 3 weeks. Otherwise, there's going to end up being big gaps.
Yeah. Every 2 or 3 weeks is totally fine. That's very doable.
2 hours. I just wanted to kind of wrap it up for everybody before Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's really going to happen now. I just do want to ask you guys, like, ask this of you guys, like, during the holidays. So definitely.
I don't do anything during the holidays. Like, I don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. It doesn't even happen for me. Like, Mark goes off and does things with his family, but all I have is my mom and dad, and they hate each other. So that's the truth. So I don't go over there and do anything with them. I literally cook myself a turkey breast and some green bean casserole and make cheesecake, and I eat it. I don't do anything. No, yeah. And some people think that's bad, and I'm like, it's not really.
I mean, no. I think what's sad is people that have to get together and like be fake. It's only sad if you're sad.
Right. So now I told Mark, I hate your sisters. I'm not going to be with them. I can't stand, I haven't seen them in 7 years, and we're going to keep the cycle going.
Every time I feel like I saw people on the 4th of July, and I was like, I don't want to do this again in November. It's my time in November. I'm like, oh gosh, Christmas is only 4 weeks away.
And we celebrate, we don't celebrate Christmas. Mark and I don't. He goes for his family, but we don't celebrate Christmas. So it's Yule for us.
I go all out for the holidays. I actually love the holidays, but I just like keeping it small and like just having my couple people around. I don't need like all of the. I just like my people. I don't need to have like super extended family and like that weird drama and that kind of stuff coming. So I like to go a lot with the decorations and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with like a solid 5 people. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So don't, like I said, if you're worried about holiday stuff with me, I really don't have anything. So I don't know how everybody else is, but I have plenty of time. We're actually off. I don't know how everyone else does things, but we are off Election Day, which is the 8th, and we're off on Veterans Day, which is the 11th. So on those 2 dates, I know we're already doing something on the 8th, but on the 11th, if anybody needed to do something, that's usually a day that's crazy for me, but it's not going to be. So I'll have that whole day. If something needs to be done, that's on Friday.
Yeah, I'm not available.
For example.
Wait, I think we talked about that, but I mean, if you guys needed to do something without me, I'm not available that day because it's the day before we leave for vacation.
Okay.
That's totally fine. We can talk about that later. So I guess the one thing I wanted to ask quickly is everyone gets what I'm saying now about the free links and how to get people to come to our event. Okay. Right. And the next thing is I'm going to post it. I'm probably going to post it tomorrow. I was going to do it today because I thought today is 2 weeks before the end of the contest, but they said Sundays. I don't know, on a blog that I was reading, a better day to start contests because people are more like sitting at home where Saturdays people are doing things, whatever. The contest that I sent you guys the link, do you guys understand that?
Yeah, the picture and the...
Yeah. So all they have to do is post a picture of something that represents a sign or a synchronicity or something that they see all of the time, like us on Facebook or like us on the social media platforms. And on November 5th, I'm going to be drawing like a winner. So it's like it's a picture. It's an Instagram, Facebook, it's like a picture contest. So did you see that, Joanne?
I might have. I might have. I'd have to look again to like really see.
I had to wave her up.
I think you did send it to all of us, right?
I did. I sent one. It's like the first thing to personally promote. That's the links thing. And then the second one was the second thing to personally promote. And that's the contest. So I just wanted to like go.
Verbally, you did send that.
So that you guys know what I'm doing and you can share it from our page, but you can also just post it yourself. I really want to try to get some more people on YouTube. That's the only difference with that one. But yeah, anything, like I said, I can get up to 50 free links. You can say it however you want to. If you end up messaging me and being like, hey, I need 10 free links, fine. If they're liking us on social media, if they're getting a friend to, maybe pay and come, if they're following us on YouTube now, I don't care. Whatever your incentive is, just use these free links to that event because part of it too is I am going to work on figuring out how to promote it somewhere. That's what I'm going to work on this week. But I feel like it will look more attractive if we've already got people attending it, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing too, Joanne,
I see it right here. Yeah.
Yeah. If you confirm that you're going, it will make you an admin.
Okay.
So you just have to confirm that you're going to the event and then you'll be made an admin. But yeah, you don't really have to like ask for my approval on the free links. That's what so that's why I was like, I know it's kind of confusing, but yeah, give them away. Let me know who they are. Message me and be like, this person needs a free link and I will send them the free access link.
I think I'm going to give one to the client that I'm talking to today. She's had like 4 or 5 sessions in the last month, and that's a whole lot of money. And I just feel like
My only thing would be like, you can't just give it to her, but I would say it is like a tool. And if they're already dedicated, be like, do you think that you have a friend that would be interested in coming to this event? Get a friend to sign up and I'll send you a free link.
that's a good idea.
Oh, baby. So that's why I was saying you can use the free links any way that you want to.
Okay.
Miss Leverage. And if she ends up messaging you and it's like, hey man, I can't get anybody to come. And you want to be like, well, thank you for trying. I'll get you the free link anyway.
Yeah. That's a good idea. No, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not holding them hostage. That's what I was saying. We have 50. I just want if you can get something out of them that's simple, like liking on something, do it.
Yep.
But okay, it is 4:40, so I'm gonna log off now. Thank you guys so much.
It was fun. I
That
loved
was
it.
great.
It was great.
I was wondering next week, like, what is it?
I can't stand how cute she is. She
Oh, I know.
Well, I know. She's freaking it's a little shade there.
I love
want to
I was wondering, could we schedule a Zoom for some point next week?
Yeah.
Like Friday, maybe?
sure.
Friday.
can't do Friday. I have concert.
Okay, yeah. So how about Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday's
Yeah, but it needs to probably,
either in the morning or like after 3:30 my time. We're going after 3:30.
But I can still send it to you. Yes, but I can still send it to you, Jen. I feel like I can either send you the link or I can like fill you in.
that's not. Yes. Or it's evening.
Yeah, with Jen and Joe or with Joanne or Jade. So what time works for you, Jade?
Anytime before noon or after 3:30. So I really just have to have 12 to 3:30 free because I have meetings at that time.
What do you think about first thing in the morning, Joanne?
I have an appointment from 9 to 10. So if it's like 8 o'clock, I can do that. Or if it's after 10.
So what time is noon for you? Was that 11 my time? Or I don't know.
I'm Eastern Standard Time.
So we're an hour ahead of you.
Yeah, so I'm central. So Joanne is an hour ahead of me and Jen is 2 hours behind me.
So
Yeah.
could we do 11?
Yeah, that's right.
Time 11 Central,
11
10 Central.
Eastern.
So 11 is 11. Yeah, I can do that. Means 10 Central my time. That's fine.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I will send you, Jen, the video or like I'll update you or figure it out.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I love it.
That way, I'm going to figure out something. This is like my mission on Monday and Tuesday to figure out our marketing, like what's happening with that. And I just think that it's probably better because it's hard for me to like message you guys. The written word is not the same as the verbal word. I just feel like every once in a while, I should probably just have Zooms like scheduled.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good rest of the weekend.
Yes, I do. Bye.